All right, hello students and welcome back to English class. I'm using a slightly different platform to record this than usual, so hopefully everything still works out okay, but I apologize in advance if you have any tech issues. Today we are continuing to learn about our twist strategy. Yesterday we did the title and the what is it about for the poem One Art. Today we're actually skipping over imagery. There's not really any imagery in One Art. And we're going to do our S and our T, our style and our tone analysis, again for One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. So let's start by going over objective. Today our objective is, I can complete the ST part of the twist analysis for One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. How we're going to get there is you're going to start with your do know. I'll release you to do that in just a moment. Then you're going to switch back and forth between watching this video and doing your ST practice. Altogether should take you about 30 minutes to do. If you find that it's taking you much longer than 30 minutes, please call or text me so I can help walk you through it, because I don't want you spending much longer than 30 minutes on this assignment. Okay, time for your do now. When I say pause and not before, you're going to switch back to your digital worksheet and you're going to respond to the do now question you see there. You're just writing the definitions for four types of figurative language. Either you can use Google as a resource if you would like to, or you can just base it on your memory. It's up to you. At this point, pause the video, go respond to your do now, come back when you're ready to move on. Okay, I'm glad you're back. Your do now should be complete at this point. If it is not, if you had a hard time completing it, please call or text me. Okay, so once again, we're going to start today just by reading the poem all the way through without stopping. One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster. Places and names and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers, a continent. I missed them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, like disaster. That's the poem in full. Our next step is to start our style analysis. So, quick recap of what we're talking about when we talk about style in poems. We're talking about figurative language and structure, but you don't necessarily need to focus on both of those for every poem. It's just whichever one is more important in the given poem. And in One Art, figurative language is really, really important. So that's what we're going to be focused on when we analyze style in One Art. I wanted to remind you of the types of figurative language that we're working with today. So I pulled out the 4 types of figurative language that actually occur in this poem, and those are the only types you have to worry about. The other types of figurative language we went over don't come up in this poem, so you don't need to worry about them right now. We've got 4 words. These are the words that you defined for your do now. First, repetition. A reminder that this occurs whenever something is repeated over and over again in a poem. A word or a phrase comes up over and over again. That shows you that it's important to the poet. Next, we have personification. Reminder, this is when human traits are given to objects. So whenever an object is described as doing something, wanting something, walking or moving, that's personification. We're giving human traits to objects. Next, we have metaphor. This is any time that the author is comparing one thing to another thing, not using the words like or as. Anytime a comparison is happening and we don't see the words like or as, that's a metaphor. And finally, we have rhyme. This one should probably be the most familiar. Rhyme is whenever we hear those words that sound alike coming up over and over again, those similar sounds. Here we've got the example of night, kite, flight, sight, bite, height, might, light, fight, tight, fright, sight. All of those words sound very similar. They're all rhyming words. Okay, so when I say pause and not before, you're going to switch to your digital worksheet and complete this section. But first, I want to go over it so we can all make sure we're on the same page. So here you've got a chart. Your instruction is to fill in the chart below with quotes from the text. In each box, there's a different kind of figurative language. I want you to find the quote that shows this type of figurative language and paste it over here where it says examples from the text. So you're going to find an example of repetition in the poem One Art and paste it here. You can find an example of personification in the poem One Art and paste it here. Find an example of rhyme, put it here. You're going to find an example of metaphor and put it here. Out of these four, I think metaphor and personification are particularly challenging. If you're having a hard time finding examples of any of these types of figurative language, please call or text me, and I'm happy to help you find them. So that's the chart. After you finish the chart, your next step is going to be to answer this question. So you're choosing one of the quotes that you pasted here, and in a complete sentence, you're explaining the significance of the quote that you chose. So Bishop includes this quote to show, and then you're going to explain the significance of the example of figurative language that you went with. All right, at this point, you can go ahead and pause the video, complete your style section in your digital worksheet, come back when you're ready to continue. Great, at this point, this style section of your digital worksheet should be completely filled out. If it's not, if you're having a hard time, please call or text me. Okay, next we have to talk about tone. Let's do a quick recap on what tone is. Tone is all about the author's attitude towards their subject. Tone is all about the author's attitude towards what they're writing about. And usually word choice is what really helps convey that attitude. So when we look for tone, we look at what words from the poem stand out to us the most and which of these attitudes best describe the words that we pulled out. That's tone. All right, when I say go and not before, you're going to do the tone analysis on your digital worksheet. But again, I want us to go over this in detail first so everybody's clear on what to do. So first, you're going to make a list of words that stand out to you in the poem, One Art, and put it here. A lot of you guys, last time we did this analysis, chose a quote. I'm not looking for a quote. I'm looking for a list of one word, of words, just like sight, flight, lost, art, those things, words that come up in the text, just in a list. They shouldn't all be from the same line or the same stanza. They should be from throughout the text. That's what you're doing here. Then you're going to scroll down to the next page of your digital worksheet, and you're going to see this tone words list that we have on this side. Based on that tone words list, you're choosing one word that best describes Elizabeth Bishop's attitude towards loss. You're going to put it here. You need to write the one word that comes from the list. And then this section is where you need to actually do a little bit more writing. The question is, how does the author convey the tone in One Art? And you're going to be filling in the sentence stem in order to figure that out. So in the poem One Art, Elizabeth Bishop creates a tone of whatever tone word you chose, put here, through, and then explain the words that Elizabeth Bishop uses, you have up here, to create that tone. This tone helps to emphasize, and then you're coming up with your own idea. Why do you think Elizabeth Bishop went with this tone? What does it emphasize in the poem? All right, at this point, you can go ahead and pause the video, do the tone analysis section in your digital worksheet, come back when you're done with it. Okay, at this point, all three of these questions should have been answered in full. If you struggled with any part of the sentence stem or with either of these two questions, please call or text me. And now you're done. There's no exit ticket today. You are finished. Feel free to get started on your other work. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for the hard work you put into English. Appreciate it. Now, this is a new platform, so we have to see if I can figure out how to pause the video.